about them Irish?
I can't take it anymore. I need a national championship.
This is the Four Horsemen Podcast.
Notre Dame fans, we're playing in a bowl game, a big bowl game. Fiesta Bowl coming up with the Oklahoma State Cowboys. I'm Dylan, joined by Stephen P. Wagon. This is the Four Horsemen Podcast. And how's everyone doing? It's post-Christmas, getting ready for the big bowl game. Hanging in there, eating turkey, if that's not controversial anymore.
Still is. Still a rough spot there. Doing good. Just living, getting through to the first. Waiting on bated breath with every tweet that the games might get canceled. And if they do, I'll be very sad inside. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Just waiting till kickoff to see the run of the Irish to break the Fiesta Bowl curse.
So Marcus Freeman's going to be coaching in his first game. But P, before we talk about the game, I want to ask you. I want to go right back to you. Can you explain to some of our newer listeners what Hate Week is, and some of the shenanigans we've gotten into in the past?
Well, Hate Week is only during the bowl week and occasionally when I don't like a team that we play during the regular season. I wake up before work, I Google the team that we're playing, and I come up with something innocuous, nothing actually cyberbullying, nothing that could get me sued. Just like, Team Boone Pickens sued his son for cyberbullying. There's tomorrow's tweet. Like an asshole. But I'll come up with different stuff. One year when we were playing Alabama, my Alabama Hate Week went viral on Reddit. I did SAT scores. I also did You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch, and turned it into Coach Saban. It's meant to be fun. I made a joke about how the yellow hammer was a bird in the Civil War, and it's all meant to be just fun, stupid jokes that people take way too seriously. Clemson Hate Week, we did that too. I think it's only been 3 years of this, so it's been Clemson and Alabama so far. I don't think I did Iowa State Hate Week.
They're not worthy.
Yeah, they weren't. And even Oklahoma State, it's hard because they're just boring. So yeah, it's meant to be fun. It's a joke. It's meant to get people pumped up for the game. In no way do I actually hate these teams. They're not Michigan. But yeah, that's the quick synopsis of what our Hate Week is. We did go viral on Reddit, 1 million views on one of our posts. I just hope it doesn't happen again this year. I really don't.
Yeah, it's a risk. Last year you made the tweet about SAT and ACT scores, kind of suggesting Notre Dame's a better school than Alabama.
I know.
I think that's just an empirical fact.
And people in the South did not like that. We were called Northern elitists.
We had the whole SEC going up against us. It wasn't even, and even some of our fans, everyone hated us.
Yeah, but then a lot of people liked the tweet because it was pretty funny, so it balanced out. But we're no stranger to controversy. Let's hope there's no controversy this year. Steve, bowl season, how's it been so far?
Bowl season, I haven't seen a single game, and then all of the games that I've wanted to see have been subsequently canceled in like the last 24 to 48 hours, as COVID is making a little bit of a comeback here. And I don't know how deep you guys want to get into that, but I personally am quite pissed off about it. I think that let the kids decide, let them make their own decision, and if they can go out there and throw their bodies into one another at 25 miles an hour, at full speed, with the potential to snap their fucking neck or get a a concussion. Look at fucking what happened to Eric LeGrand from Rutgers a couple of years ago. He's permanently in a wheelchair. All right. So these are kids that put their bodies on the line, but you're telling them, case of the sniffles, go lock yourself inside for 10 days. You don't want to get too far into the weeds with it, and try to stay kind of down the middle. It's just, that's been an annoying aspect of seeing some really exciting matchups canceled. So, but as for this upcoming Saturday, it's thrilling in the aspect that this finally feels like and knock on every slab of wood that's ever been created in the history of Earth. This finally feels like this is a big bowl game, a New Year's Six bowl game, a relevant bowl game that Notre Dame is prospectively going to come out on top with. And, anything can happen, hedge, somebody knock on something, knock on all of the wood. But that's my excitement, is just like, oh shit, we might get the monkey off our back. And that's what I can't wait. I can't wait for the first snap of that game, because it's going to be so exciting.
Excuse me, guys. I wasn't here last week for the last podcast. Did you talk about Harry Hiestand at all? Hiestand?
No, we did not.
Would you guys like to discuss this with our audience, or should? Okay.
Yeah, why not?
So sources have confirmed. It's out there, so we're not breaking anything here. Former Notre Dame offensive line coach Harry Hiestand, regarded as a guru of offensive linemen, was here in the glory years of Notre Dame offensive linemen, with the exception of obviously Joe Moore. Elite coach, elite developer, very good recruiter, was in the NFL for a while. Rumor has it that he will be the next offensive line coach at Notre Dame. By all means, it sounded like he was retired. I think what that meant was he was retired from working with Coach Kelly, because as the rumor goes, as soon as Marcus Freeman was announced head coach, apparently he was actually reaching out to get the job. I don't know how true that is. These are just out there. It's just to clarify, protect ourselves from, liability.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it sounds like he'll be coming. It sounds like there's a possibility Chris Watt will be coming with him. Chris Watt, former Notre Dame offensive lineman. He was a grad assistant last year. He's now the offensive line coach, I believe, at Tulsa. There's talk he might come with Harry, because they are that's kind of his protege. They're kind of a package, which would be great. I think, Jeff Quinn's going to leave. I think everybody knows that now. And Coach Hiestand, who brought in Quentin Nelson, who developed Zach Martin, brought in McGlinchey, Ronnie Stanley. I mean, every offensive lineman that is currently on a Pro Bowl roster, it seems like they're all on Pro Bowls this year. That coach is coming back. So that's going to be a huge thing. And we've talked before about how everything's starting to kind of fall together, right? Like, you have Marcus Freeman take over. There's a new energy. Reese stays. The whole coaching staff that you want stays. Recruiting was good. It's getting even better. The quarterback's coming. It's like we're just putting all those pieces together, and adding Harry Hiestand to this coaching staff might just do the trick. Do either of you have any kind of comments or thoughts on these speculated rumors so far?
Yeah, this is going to be more so high level. Chris Watt is an African-American man, correct?
No, he is not. It is the Dickens. I don't know. Whatever. I'm not going to get myself into trouble. He's white.
Okay, never mind then. I was going to say it's interesting with a lot of the staff. You're seeing more individuals who are younger coaches who also happen to be Black that are starting to appear on the staff. And I think that just is going counter to what the previous administrations had. But now that Chris Watt is not Black, I take that one back. But having a Black head coach definitely will help with recruiting. As much as we don't want to make it a race thing, it will help. Chris Watt, just in general, 31 years old. Looks like he did play in the NFL for a hot minute from my Wikipedia poll that I was able to pull up here.
Injuries ended his career. He was playing quite well in San Diego, I think, before they.
I thought it was San Diego.
Yeah, and then Tulane. Great job for him. I'm glad that he's over there.
The word on the street was that they actually reached out to Chris Watt too, because they didn't think Harry would be interested. But things have changed there. So Chris Watt, if he was considered for the job outright, and he's coming as like an assistant for Coach Harry Hiestand, Wow, that's a stellar group there.
And it kind of sets him up to be the heir apparent, right? Because Harry he's pretty old. He was obviously previously in retirement. Because he left from us to go to the NFL to the Chicago Bears, and all you have to do is say Chicago Bears, and you understand why it didn't work out. Sorry for any Chicago Bears fans. I know there's actually a massive overlap with Notre Dame fans. Clean shot, you got to admit, clean shot. So yeah, I mean, the fact that he basically told Kelly go screw, and now Marcus is the head man in charge. He's excited and thrilled to come back. He's probably got realistically 3 to 5 seasons, right? And then and then I think Watt, if he's coming in with the understanding of, hey, I'm just going to continue to learn and develop as a coach, so that way I can continue to teach and develop these young players and kind of shift into the role as the O-line coach going forward. If he's the heir apparent, I mean, that helps with continuity, helps with recruiting, helps with everything. So and obviously development. So that's what's exciting. So when you said that Harry Highstan is coming, I am also coming.
Yeah, I don't know if the audience has noticed yet, but as the season gets on, this podcast gets sloppier and sloppier, which of course makes for the best episodes. I don't mean to be that guy who's like, oh, I thought about this, or I knew this was coming. But before the announcements came out, I was like, when you have shower thoughts, your mind is clear. You could see into the future almost. I was thinking to myself, why doesn't Harry Highstan come back and coach, and Chris Watt just take over? Like, wouldn't that make a lot of sense? And then a couple days later, those are the rumblings. So hopefully that's true. I think that'd be a great hire. P, you're more of a coach's guy. You have any thoughts on Coach H? And are you excited for the hire if it happens?
Well, if he comes back, the reason he's coming back is because he didn't like that other asshole who was in charge. So is it going to be a fit with Freeman? Maybe. Did he work with Tommy ever? I don't think so, other than being a coach for him. So it'll be interesting to see how him and Tommy mesh as coaches. But really, I think Highstan does do a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff, doesn't love recruiting, which is why they're probably also bringing in a second O-line coach to do more of the recruiting side of the house. But whenever you get someone who wants to be there, it's always a good thing. I know that's talking brass generalities there, but
he's in South Bend too. Like he's never left. Like his home is in South Bend, so it's a natural fit.
He didn't like Kelly. That's the reason he left. So it'll be very interesting to see. I think a lot of people, unfortunately, are putting the cart before the horse, us included, with Freeman. That's just because the difference between. Let's break it down. Freeman has not won a game has not coached a game ever. Yep. Brian Kelly was the winningest coach in Notre Dame history.
And losingest.
And yes, and losingest.
People forget. we don't have to we don't have to beat the drum for him anymore. We don't have to perform propaganda for him anymore. We're on to the next guy.
That's when you're not wrong. But
wait, just one more joke. The picture of Stalin when he's next to the guy in the boat? And then there's the other picture where there's no fucking guy in the boat. That's us. So sorry, yes, not putting the cart before the horse with Mr. Marcus Freeman. Continue.
Yeah, so we are putting the cart before the horse with him, but it's a change of pace just because of who he is as a person. So you're seeing all that happen. You're seeing old alumni get behind them. And it's just very interesting to see the dynamic change that quickly. Do I think he's going to do great things? Yes. Do I think he's going to become the winningest coach in Notre Dame history? I don't know.
Unequivocally, yes.
Well, but at the same time, you can't say that until you see what product he puts out on the field. We can hear all about how Competition Tuesday, the gold standard, but all the stuff he's talking about. But until we see what's on the field, I'm going to be hesitant until I can see him coach a football game.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Let me just tell you, and Dylan, I'll let you take it from here. I am all in on head coach Marcus Freeman being the guy and the winningest coach in Notre Dame history. because if he doesn't, I'm not making it to the next head coach. All right. I can't do this anymore. I'm feeling a little loopy tonight. I just inhaled a bunch of fumes from cooking a burger. I'm going a little nuts, and I'll tell you quite frankly, if Marcus Freeman ain't the guy, I ain't alive anymore.
We should have a spin-off podcast just where we get squirrely and have ridiculous conversations where we've inhaled burger fumes. Some things to say with the wrapping up the Harry Hiestand conversation. I do believe he may have overlapped with Coach Tom Rees when Tom Rees was brought in as a graduate assistant. I don't know what year that was, but it's possible they oversaw each other for a year. The room, yeah, it sounds, from what I understand, it sounds like he doesn't like recruiting in the sense that he's not a grinder. Like, he's not going to call a kid every day. Thankfully, with offensive linemen, I don't think you really need to do that. They're not divas. But my understanding is that he's always been a great recruiter because his pitch was amazing. People love him as a coach from what we've seen and heard. And I think once he gets those kids to Notre Dame, he tends to have success locking them up. I think what Chris Watt brings is not only is, Harry, I'll have all that going for him. And by the way, and a better recruiting pitch now that he's got all those guys in the NFL and Notre Dame's a perennial contender. So Coach Hiestand's pitch is going to be remarkable. But on top of that, I think what Chris Watt might come in to do is more of the grinding on the recruiting trail. So it's not that Hiestand's not a good recruiter. I think he's a great recruiter. But from what I understand, he just isn't a grinder. And I think that's maybe where another coach will come pick up. So if you combine that with what Harry already brings, I mean, we're going to probably get every 5-star offensive line recruit in the country. Anything else you guys want to say on that or coaching? I know we got the DC positions open yet. No real names are out there that are, confident enough to say on air. Anything else, or should we move right into this bowl game?
Well, the special teams coach, it's coming down to Biaggi and Lazinski, which I think, as a resident special teamer here, I think those two make a lot of sense. Both have Notre Dame in their background. Everyone, the rumblings I'm hearing is Biaggi. They just haven't made that official yet, but I think Lazinski will stay along. He's doing linebackers in the bowl game, so if they could go 2 for 1 there, that's going to be amazing.
That was an interesting sign that Freeman promoted him to the linebackers coach for this game. Maybe as a test run, that might give an indication of where he's seeing things. I want to ask you, Pete, because the podcast account on Twitter tweeted, per some sources, it's come down to these 3 names. What I want to ask you, because I haven't had the chance to behind the scenes, is that your sources, or is that out there that we compiled?
Yes. That's all I can say.
I like it. Journalistic integrity 101. The Four Horsemen podcast. Nobody's better at ethics.
No, just know that I know things, I hear things, and I also do research. So could be a mixture of that. Could be one, could be the other. We're gonna keep you guessing where the cups are going. So
true.
On the marble.
Given the 3 professions we are in or going to be in, we probably should be the least ethical group to ever form a podcast. Because law, Steve, you're in insurance.
Finance, you idiot.
Finance, but finance for insurance. And then I don't know. I'm very unaware of everything. And then P, of course, is a recruiter. And I feel like recruiters might be the most unethical of them all.
Says the lawyer. Says the fucking lawyer.
This is good, guys. Yeah, Oklahoma State. I'm not afraid of them. I was on our friend Robert Martin's podcast, Lean Toss Up Sports, with Buck, and we did the bowl projections. And when it got to Notre Dame, what I had said is, I understand Oklahoma State has a good defense, and I understand Notre Dame's offense is, kind of okay. It's been better lately, but it's not its best. That said, I'm still not afraid of Oklahoma State's defense. I look at the Big 12 and I think that's not a great conference. And I think Baylor also had a good defense this year. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like the Big 12's offense was kind of not great this year. And I think Oklahoma State's offense isn't terrifying. We all watched the Baylor-Oklahoma State game. I'm not worried. I know the line was 2.5 last time I checked. I don't know if we've seen movement on that or yet. But
I think I
yeah.
saw 1.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna hammer that. So, am I crazy, guys, or are you guys kind of feeling relaxed for this one?
Not relaxed because I can never live in a state of relaxation because I'm me. Oklahoma State does have an elite defense. They're fifth in the S&P plus, seventh in scoring defense, and third in total defense. But they have a mediocre offense. And Spencer Sanders,
Did you just quote stats?
I didn't.
Did P-Wagon just, one, do research, which has never been done in his history, and two, quote SP plus, which is an advanced Bill
That's
Connolly.
an advanced analytic, buddy.
Oh my!
Yeah.
This is
times are changing. Kelly's out. I'm doing research.
What was holding this podcast back from doing the research this whole time was Brian Kelly's presence.
It's all Brian Kelly's fault.
Send him to the gulag anyway.
But they do have an elite defense. They have a mediocre offense. Spencer Sanders, I can throw better than him left-handed than what he can do. But they have a good front eight on defense, and that is slightly terrifying because we don't have Kyron Williams to pick up the blitzes. What we do have is speed that they don't have. So I could see a quarterback by committee, TB12, Jack Cohn kind of splitting reps here, but also moving into more of the outside. You're going to be able to run between the numbers occasionally, between the hashes occasionally. But if you can get outside to the numbers, screen passes, quick hitters, even the jet and rocket motions, and really fuck with people out in that little gap and make them miss, it's game over there. So that's what I'm seeing.
I was going to say, I have two running play calls for this game. There's the Braden Lenzy jet sweep, which is technically a pass. And then there is on the goal line, Audric Estime will just be a bowling ball. That's how I see us beating them. Because like you said, the front eight is great.
But they're also so aggressive. You run that you can run a read option. And I can get super technical here. You can run a read option with Michael Mayer having a stick route behind. So RPO. With that, technically yes, but RPO is an overused term. You run that option, you make that first defender wrong. Then if you can throw it, you have that second defender coming up because he knows TB12 can run. Just a little dump pass to Mayer is a touchdown. So I could see Reese opening up the playbook a little bit more with these type of plays, but at the same time, I could see him sticking with Cone, having him sit in the pocket for as long as he can and throwing him downfield because the Big 12 doesn't play defense. So,
yeah, I was more concerned just because they are a pretty damn good run defense, but then again, you're not looking at a particularly fantastic rushing offense conference, not a great offensive line conference, right? Like the average recruit in the Big 12 on the offensive line is a 3-star or even like a 2-star in some instances, right? Like legitimately. So,
but it's just their defensive coordinator is also out. He's gone. He's at Ohio State now. So will that change how the plays are being called? You don't know.
Yeah. So one thing that you did mention is that they do crash down and they're quite aggressive in trying to fill the holes and plug those gaps. Now with Kyren being out, you're going to see that the lion's share of carries are probably going to be split. It's probably going to be 40-40-20 if we're doing between Logan Diggs and Chris Tyree and then Audric Estime. Tyree, I think he's a guy that you can probably go off tackle. And you can get involved in the screen game, and I think that's where he's going to be most effective. I think if you're going to go between the tackles, that's where you're going to live and die with Logan Diggs, because he has kind of that hop step, that extra kind of shimmy, just like hold on one extra half second, almost like a Le'Veon Bell pro hop as he gets to the line of scrimmage, just like waits an extra second, see what opens, hits the hole hard, and then he accelerates. So that's where I actually think that in this case, it's almost more beneficial that we have Logan Diggs than a Kyren Williams, because Kyren will just hit a hole hard and he'll just go, right? There's oftentimes very little hesitation from Kyren, and that's just the way he runs. That's his style, and he's extraordinarily effective doing it. And he'll break 14 tackles in a single play. Like he's incredible, and I can't wait to see him play on Sundays. Hopefully for the Steelers. Actually, well, that's not going to happen with whatever. Not going to get too far down that path, but that's that. I think that's how we ultimately mitigate against them. Obviously, a lot of play action as well. If we are going to run play action, I don't want to see a lot of play action from under center, quite frankly. A little bit here and there with like a maybe a little bit naked boot. Toss out wide on a quick hitter to to Mayer, see what he can do and get upfield, break some tackles. But because that Mayer, if Mayer has 8+ catches in this game, we win by probably 3 touchdowns. Because I think he can legitimately average 15 yards a catch, right? Because I don't think that these Big 12 defenders they're going to be bouncing off him like bullets bouncing off of Superman. It's just going to be hilarious. So, but I think that a play action from under center can take way too long for Jack Cohn, who's obviously not the most, mobile guy given the circumstances. So if we are going play action, do it a lot out of different sets, even a pistol, right? If we can incorporate that, that's what I would look for. I don't know. That's kind of the matchups I'd like to see exploited and how we would attack the running game. And that's where I'll pass back to you, Dylan, and see your thoughts.
Well, while you were talking, I just came up with a new segment. So let's run with this on the fly. So am I crazy? I'm going to say something and you guys tell me if I'm crazy or if I'm not and why. Number one, Notre Dame's offensive line is going to perform better in this game than they have in the last 5.
You're not crazy.
Not crazy.
And why am I not crazy?
Alt, Kristovic, JP, Madden, Fisher.
That's the big one. I think even coming off an injury in his first game, I think Blake Fisher as a true freshman with half a game experience might actually be an improvement over Josh Lugg. No disrespect to Josh Lugg. I think that's just how good Blake Fisher is. And you got him on your right and Alt on your left.
Yep.
I'm thinking
those are mountains.
I think we might actually have a good offensive line in this game. Granted, you are playing a really good defense. Really good. I'm still suspect if they are good, but I'm aware of what the metrics say. Okay, number 2. Kevin Austin has a 150 2 touchdown game.
No.
No, as in he's crazy and that's not happening, or no, as in he's not crazy?
No, as in he's crazy and that's not happening.
I think you're crazy because I think Kevin Austin goes off.
Okay, P, fight on that one. Why am I crazy?
I think with what we know, it's not going to be big plays that will score these touchdowns. There may be one. He might have one 75-yarder. The rest of these are going to be quick plays, either over the middle, pushing the pace, but I don't think he's a big play receiver. He's not like a Chris Fink type, to use an example from a couple of years ago. You know how you could go over the middle, quick pass, and have him scoot? Kevin Austin's not like that. So I don't think he'll go for 150. He'll definitely have at least one touchdown. But I think it's going to be a little bit more of a muted game. I hope I'm wrong. But I just think with how they have to play against this defense, they have to keep them on their back foot.
Yeah,
okay.
Well, he is inherently more of a either send him down the sideline at 6'3", 210, call it. He can definitely go up and get those 50-50 balls on go routes. He's also great at crossing routes. And I think if the offensive line, which we've already posited that they're going to be improved and better, and if they can buy Cone just that extra half second, and if Austin, he can definitely get open, and if we can catch him on crossing routes, he has the shiftiness, but he also has just the aggression and the body type where he can really make some moves and get loose in the secondary. And I honestly think that if given time and Jack Cohn can get him there, we might see a Kevin Austin have a performance that looked like, the Alabama cat that tore us up last year. I genuinely think that. And that's why I'm expecting, my estimation, 7 catches, 120 plus yards, and at least one touchdown. That's an estimated guess.
Wow. That's a big one. I'm trying to get more and more crazy here. So I got another one for you. Am I crazy to think that Cam Hart has such a performance that he generates NFL draft buzz in the offseason?
No, because Spencer Sanders can't throw to where Cam Hart's going to be playing.
That's a hilarious take on it. I was just going to say, no, I think that's crazy in the aspect that I don't think that he's going to be able to put in a body of performance of work in one game. Yes, it's on the big stage. I just don't see him getting enough hype, to really thrust himself into the top 4 rounds. And if you're not going in the top 4 rounds, what's the point of leaving early out of college, right? That I guess that's my rationale and my thoughts. So I think Cam is extremely talented. I think he has a future on Sundays. Obviously, like I say about every single recruit and every single guy on the roster, because I'm an absolute sociopath. But do I think he performs well? Absolutely. Do I think that he has a performance that everyone looks out and says, Hart Island? Not particularly.
Okay, last one. This one's deliberately geared towards P-Wagon. Am I crazy for thinking that we see a special teams trick play, either a fake punt or a fake field goal?
I will spontaneously combust if Jay Bramblett gets a chance to throw a touchdown pass. I will literally no longer be a human. You could buy me on the dark web or wherever I
You'll
bought that.
achieve your final form.
I will no longer. I will reach nirvana. So there's a chance there. Also, shout out Jay Bramblett, Alex Lemonade Stand. We were actually donating. We donated some money to them. He's raised $8,100 for childhood cancer. So go check out his page. Donate, donate, donate.
I think I can speak for everyone when I say fuck cancer. So that's a great cause.
But yes, no, if they throw a trick play in there, I will lose it.
I hope they do. I genuinely hope they do. And Dylan, I do not think you're crazy just because, bowl game, leave it all on the line, just like the CLSU Mud Dogs. It's the last game of the year, right? So that's my rationale.
Didn't we have a bit a couple years ago that Phil Dracovic was the most efficient player on the team because every time he got into the game, they scored?
Yeah,
wasn't that a bit that we had?
I think he was like it was all just handoffs at like the 1 yard line or something. I mean, everything we do is a bit at this point.
But yeah, I remember that. That was a fun bit. Dylan hated it.
The best bit, and by best I mean absolutely the worst bit, was back in season 1 and a little bit in season 2. The fake Chase Claypool conversations I would have because he was my cousin in the story, because we're both from Canada, and we would pretend we would talk to each other. And it was with awful audio equipment. Like, that had to be the best/worst segment we've ever done.
I mean, in a nation of like 400,000 people, you have to be related somehow.
400.
Or is that Iceland? Oops.
36 million. Thank you very much. About the size of California.
No way
but it's 36 million Canadian, but what's that convert over to American?
Well, you guys are a little more obese than us, so I don't know. It'd be probably more.
There's no way there's 36 million Canadians.
There is 36 million Canadians. We're not actually that small of a country. Everyone thinks we're this tiny little place, but we're in the G8. One of the
but 3/4 of your entire nation is uninhabitable.
Yeah, probably more than 3/4. Yeah, we all live right by the border. So,
speaking of borders, they put Pine and Buckner on the depth chart with an OR designation for the first time this year.
I thought they did that every game.
Nope, I checked.
Oh.
This was the first game that they did that.
Maybe it's a power play to try to keep Pine interested, keep him on the roster just for continuity and a good backup next year.
Well, no, I think Pine was always listed as the backup, right?
Pine was always 2. Buckner was 3. Oh,
yeah.
Now, that OR designation it says a lot.
I wonder, we're seeing a lot of smoke out of the Notre Dame side. Maybe it's deliberate, but Coach Freeman talked in an interview with how amazing Tyler Buckner's throwing is. And then just today, one of the reporters in South Bend had said that Kevin Austin made a statement saying that Tyler Buckner made some ridiculous throws, like some unbelievable type throws. Hey, it's possible TB12 is coming into his own throughout the season. I don't know. I get excited.
He is going to win the Heisman next year and a national
The
championship.
reason for that is because of fucking social media, and we all know that. It's these assholes online who say, we contacted Keaton Slovis, and they made this big fucking graphic, and they all, get their rocks off to thinking about Keaton Slovis as a Notre Dame player. And, TB12 is a one-trick pony. He doesn't know how to throw the ball. He's a fucking
Threw for
college
5,000
athlete.
yards.
And he was one of the best athletes in California as a sophomore. California has 14 billion people in it, and he was one of the best athletes there. Yes, he can run, but he also didn't play football for 2 years. And then he goes and plays in a college football game. Of course he's going to look like shit for a little bit, but he is a better athlete than 99% of this goddamn country is.
Man, just imagine. Just imagine if we had played Cincinnati 3 weeks later than we had.
It's ridiculous. And it's all these armchair quarterbacks who just want to armchair quarterback saying, "Oh, Drew Pine needs to start." Drew Pine is 5'7".
It's so mean.
He can't see over.
He's solid. Line. He's made some nice throws this year.
Yes, he's a good quarterback for a G5 school.
I even think he could be. He's a solid ACC or West Coast quarterback as well. Let's give him his due. I think Drew definitely has the potential to. I don't think he has the potential. I think he is a starter on the majority of programs. I think Drew is a talented cat. It just
happens that he's not going to start on Notre Dame, which is
but the reason is Tyler Buchner is unbelievable. We can start moving on to something else here because if we keep talking about this 18-year-old Tyler Buchner for I'm going to start breathing a little bit heavy over here. I'm getting hot under the collar. So let's move on to something else here, Dylan.
Steve likes his high school quarterbacks,
and he's 19.
He's 19. Ooh,
more. He can drink in all of Canada.
Nice.
Okay. So we've talked about pretty much everything. Is there anybody we need to rip this week? Pick 6 previews.
Oh, I'll tell you. I'll tell you exactly who we need to rip.
You didn't listen to my little rant. I just ripped half of Twitter.
Oh, let's go.
I'll tell you who needs to be fucking ripped. The entire Saints offensive line, you motherfuckers. Who the hell do you think you are to let my good friend and loyal listener of the podcast, Ian James Book. I have no idea if his middle name is James. How dare they? Book, when he had some time, he missed one throw. He went underneath when he should have gone up top. But, the guy was running for his life. So, Ian, it was a more impressive performance than people would ever be able to imagine. I think if you look at it, he actually played a halfway decent game. And I think if he has an opportunity in that league, he could legitimately be an NFL guy. So going to continue to root for Ian and his success. There's some people that obviously have given up on him as he stepped off campus. He's Kelly's guys, this, that, the other. Hey, you know what? He's our guy. And we still run PR for him. So screw the Saints offensive line, especially the right guard from Michigan. Son of a bitch.
I can't believe people actually willingly watched the NFL. I watched that game last night.
It's a garbage. It's an objectively garbage.
Oh, it's terrible. But other than that, the only other people we really have to rip, the lack of Oklahoma State fans in our mentions right now, but also just Michigan. They're acting like you've been there before.
They haven't,
and they're not going to. But the fans, and there's these random 3 followers or 3 following, no follower people on our account just yelling at us. Oh, this one didn't age well. Of course it didn't. We're a propaganda podcast. 99% of our stuff doesn't age well. And when it does, we'll do a victory lap around you. But I'm just so sick of Michigan. And if they win a game, if they beat
Georgia, it's sheets for you, boy.
I'm just going to log off for a little bit. It's just annoying. So, other than that, that's all I got.
Yeah. Do you guys want to get into mailbag questions? Because we got a few from Twitter.
Yes,
we asked. Do you want to go?
Quick. No, just real quick. Kari D is transferring. We'll talk about that when we get to recruits. When we talk about that, Mike Elston is calling the defense. He said Freeman said that he'll have input on that. I don't think it changes anything there. When you're coaching and you have a headset on, you're going to have conversations. It's just going to be a real quick conversation instead of coming out of your own with what play. It's going to be interesting to see what Freeman does as a coach. I'll be watching that very closely on the sideline. And Jordan Bethello is going to be at Rover, which is good.
Cool. So
really quickly, who saw this coming? Texas Tech is steamrolling Mississippi State. Heading into the fourth quarter, it's 27-7.
I had the money line and plus 8.5, so we're going to win both of those.
Let's fucking go. Nice win, buddy.
Okay. You could tell this was P-Wagon tweeting from the podcast account because it says bowl questions go. So we got a bunch. Yes, yeah. We'll go through all of them. I think we have time. Clutch Sports, Notre Dame. What freshman could you see playing besides Fisher, Alt, and Diggs? I think Buckner's an obvious choice there. He's going to be in the game one way or another. Lorenzo Styles, Deion Colsey. You guys thinking of anyone else?
No, that's the group. I would like to see Spindler maybe late in the game if it's a blowout. Potentially our boy Gabe Rubio.
Mm-hmm.
That's my boy.
No one else.
I have a fun one. Here's a name. Prince Collie.
Sure.
Yep.
I think that he would be. He's an athletic specimen. He was rated by I think at least one of the Raiders as a 5-star. He ended up being a composite 4, but he's freak talented. We've had obviously some injuries and we've been a little thin at the position. So
I'd say Prince Collie is no worse than the third best recruit in the incoming linebackers class, and that's the best linebackers class in the country. That's how good he is. Like he is as talented as the kids that are coming in behind him. Obviously,
he have an embarrassment of riches.
He'll have a head start development, so he'll be better immediately. But in terms of projection, I think he's on that level, and I think they moved him over to Will too, so we could definitely see him get some rotations. Next question. Marvel.
Oh, wait. Aldrich Estimate.
Oh, it's a good call too.
Yep, good one.
Okay, at Marvel Trooper asks, do we see a noticeable difference in the passion and intensity of a post-BK Notre Dame team?
Yes.
I think it's an unequivocal yes.
I think it's a yes because he left. Like the circumstances have heightened, I think, the energy. I also think it will be like that in the future because of the man who replaced him is a high energetic guy. If you're trying to hint at, Notre Dame didn't have any intensity or passion under Brian Kelly, I'll reject that. But yeah, we'll see more under Freeman. So I agree with you guys. Drew Brennan on Twitter says or asks, feel like Austin going off in this game would be great to help the Irish get a win, but it might make the decision for him to go pro. So is it a catch-22? Are we worried about Austin playing too well to go to the draft, but we need him to play well to win the game? What do you think of that conceptualization?
I listened to what he talked about today. I think he's gone. Just in terms of how he spoke, I would be very surprised if he comes back for another year. He really was very standoffish to the question, that he would figure it out after the game was over, and he was focusing on the game. But
that's too bad because I think he needs another year of development. I think he's talented. I think he's talented enough to be in the NFL. He'll be drafted, no doubt. I don't think he's going to be drafted in the first 3 rounds at all.
He's probably a 4 to 5. Yeah.
Won't he get they do draft evals, right?
They do. They do. You got to wonder who's doing them for him. Well, there's the NFL ones, but then there's also going to be people talking to him, telling him, "Oh, we hear you're this round pick or something." So I don't know all the information he has. I would imagine a good and fair draft evaluation would take into account that he struggled this year and that, like every year, wide receiver group might be the best position group in a draft. Equiminius St. Brown was a 6th round draft pick, and he was phenomenal at Notre Dame. So that doesn't mean that's what Kevin Austin's going to be, but I think another year would help him flourish as the type of receiver he needs to be, because he can be among the best we've had. Yeah. Anything else on Austin before we move on?
Yeah, I definitely agree. If he does leave, then next year it's going to be, Colsey. It'll be Braden Lenzy. If Braden Lenzy doesn't transfer, but he's one of my close personal friends, so I'll just, I'll shoot him a text. Who else? Who would
Is
be
that
on?
the rumor that he's gone?
No, it's not. So yeah, I was just, that's complete conjecture on my end. I was just thinking, like, if the room gets too crowded, he's going to be a 50-year senior next year. At a certain point, the guy he's going to want a 1,000-yard season and to give himself a chance.
It's also not a guarantee that the coaching staff asks him to return. I imagine they will. I think Lenzy has definitely earned a 5th year. But that's another thing too. It's not always the kid's decision. Like, it is, the coaching staff has to want you to come back too. That's another component.
Yeah, I love Braden Lenzy. He's like the Deshaun Jackson type of our team. And I think he has outrageous potential, and he's flashed good hands and good route running at certain points, and obviously he's still kind of developing and doing his thing. So I really genuinely want Lenzy on this roster next year, because I think he can blow the top off, and you got a lot of talent around him. But that's the thing, is if Austin doesn't come back, I still think we have a lot of talent, but we have a lot of thin talent. Any injuries that we have next year at the wide receiver position immediately make us a significantly worse team. So the margin for error does concern me, but transfer portal does exist.
I believe we're going to the transfer portal for wide receiver. Yeah. Weekend Hacker asks, more rushing or more passing in this game?
I think we're going to all know everybody's answers here, but P, lead us off.
I'm thinking about this.
I think the answer depends on if we're winning or not. If we're winning the game, we'll be running the ball more. If we're losing the game or in a close game, we'll probably throw the ball more. It's probably, I don't necessarily think it's an offensive philosophy so much as it is just a reaction to how
situational.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's just move on to another one because we want to speed it up a bit. Mike Ulitz asks on Twitter, sorry if I botched that, will we see more of Tyler Buckner this game?
Yes.
We'll see. Again, I think that's more of a situational thing. Is the running game working without him? Then there's less of a reason to bring him in and potentially open up mistake, right? Because after all, he's a freshly 19-year-old kid, true freshman. So
my issue is the way it's phrased. It's almost as though we haven't been seeing a lot of him already, which I find weird because I think we've seen way more of Buckner than we expected to this year. I don't think anyone expected to see Buckner play this much to begin with. Mm-hmm. So will we see more of him? Probably not, but we'll still see him, which is, I think, amazing to begin with, because who would have thought that we would see more Tyler Buckner snaps than Drew Pine?
Very true. Yeah.
All right, last one. James McMack. Will the O-line be able to, I imagine, protect Cone here? He said pretty Cone, but I would imagine that means protect Cone. I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, I do too, and I hope so. Just kind of a real side note before I let Steve get into his talk here. I bought an NFT today of Jack Cohn, so I really hope he does well. I don't know what I'm doing. I've been looking at this for the last half hour, just trying to figure out what the fuck to do with an NFT of Jack Cohn. So I just needed to say that on record to someone. So if anyone wants to buy it, it's number 4 of 100. So yeah, I think the O-line will be able to protect him pretty well. I am worried about Blake Fisher in his first game speed reps, but with what Freeman is doing good on good for the early part of camp, I think it won't matter too much. But definitely pretty him up and boost my my NFT sale.
Yeah, I think they're able to, right? Especially since they're going to have, again, a full month to prepare for this game. And iron sharpens iron. They have a full month to have this pretty damn good defensive line go up against them in practice, get these guys more prepared. They've been better every single game since the beginning of the year when it was that abysmal performance offensive line wise, against Florida State, and not much better at all against Toledo. And then it's just got better and better. So I think that it's going to be perfectly fine.
All right, I got a random question for you guys. You know how Oklahoma State head coach Mike Gundy has that famous line of "I'm a man, I'm 40." Well,
He's
Rich,
54 now.
he's 54 now. Rich Eisen, NBC TV guy, football, the only Michigan man I like. He was interviewing Marcus Freeman, and he made a joke, and he said, "When you're coaching against Mr. Gundy, could you ask him if you're considered a man because you're only, what he's 35 or something, because you're not
30.
quite 40 yet. Is Marcus Freeman a man?" You'd have to ask Mike Gundy. So what I want to ask you guys is, at what age do you become a man?
I can tell you from firsthand experience, it's not 32.
That's expected.
Well, I will be 31 in a week, so it's not 30 either. So, yeah. In the Jewish tradition,
it might be 40. It might be 40.
in the Jewish tradition, it's 12.
True.
Do they have bar mitzvahs up in Canada?
I would imagine they do for Jewish Canadians.
Isn't Drake Jewish?
I don't know. I think he is, but
Interesting. No, but I think
Celine Dion, definitely Jewish.
I don't know.
no.
I know.
She
I
gives off
think
that Episcopalian vibe.
Well, she's French, so I imagine she would just be Quebecois Catholic. What about Eugene Levy and Dan Levy?
That's Jewish.
Yes. Yeah, there's some great Canadian Jewish talent over
Justin
time.
Bieber.
Is he really?
No, no.
He's very Catholic.
I would just name it a Canadian that I knew,
or like Christian, more accurately. Yep, I'm not gonna lie. I pulled Celine Dion out of my ass.
She's not allowed to play in Israel.
Okay, I'm guessing she's
play in Israel. So that would make her unequivocally.
But this is getting a little off to the right. But
it's the best part of the show is when we get off track.
She's now in the Jewish deli business. She
Schwartz's.
Yeah, Schwartz's Deli. She's a part owner of this deli.
So let me tell you guys a story. As a Montrealer for 3 years now, Schwartz's Deli is the tourist destination in Montreal. Smoked meat is a very Montreal thing, and Schwartz's Deli, for whatever reason, has become the hub of smoked meat lovers. And Celine Dion owns the company, I believe, or at least used to. So a little bit of information for you next time you guys are in Montreal.
I've never been, but I want to go eventually.
Interesting.
All right.
So, yeah.
I also heard something about Montreal recently.
Oh, yeah?
It's basically illegal to speak not French there.
Oh my, where have you been for 40 years? Let's talk about that one after the show.
He was dead. He wasn't alive for 8 of those years. So
yeah. No, but there's rules on businesses is kind of the thing.
Okay.
It's complicated.
I didn't want to be problematic. I'm trying not to get canceled on on an episode by episode basis.
Anyone who would cancel you would not be listening to the show, so you're safe.
You never know.
On that topic, I don't think I have francophone Quebecers watching or listening to our podcast. Although that would be pretty cool. And
you're making up words right now. There's
I have no idea what you just said.
I'm sorry. Sometimes I forget not everybody is Canadian. That's a very American thing of me to say.
You spelled paycheck with a Q.
That was the most Canadian thing I've ever fucking seen.
I didn't know it was CK. I thought that was a joke. I thought paycheck, that's how idiots spelled it. Because I tried to spell it that way once and someone laughed at me and I'm like, well, how do you spell it?
With a Q-U-E.
I've got nothing to say.
We're getting rascally tonight.
I do such a conscious effort to not spell anything the right way. So when we're talking about color and labor and honor, I never use the U. I always try to do the OR. And then offense on the podcast account, I spell with an S, which drives me nuts. Offense is spelled with a C, but I do it for you guys. And the one time I slip up, I'm just torn apart.
I do have one last question before we wrap this up.
Yeah.
From Wookie4ND. He says, or they say, who gives a shit about bowl wins? We play for the championship. A bowl game is a participation trophy. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. It doesn't mean the game doesn't matter, but the context in which he was referring to, I think, was more about bowl wins and national championship appearances and stuff. And in my opinion, Notre Dame is about excellence. Notre Dame is not about Mickey Mouse postseason bowls, which is why we didn't play in them for 60 years. Not quite 60, I think it was 40. But we're here to win a national championship. We're not here to win a conference title. We're not here to win the Armed Forces Barstool Bowl. We're not here to win the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl. We're here to win the national championship. We have not done that. That is on us. Would I love to win the Fiesta Bowl? Yes, I would love to get it out of the way. Since it matters for some reason, we should still try. But at the end of the day, I will take a championship opportunity over a New Year's Six Bowl game every day of the week.
Steve?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. The national championship, that's the white whale, right? But you have to face the facts. It's been 33 years, right? So, listen, New Year's Six bowl games, college football playoff games, like semifinal games. Fact of the matter is, they matter. They might not matter to you, the objective Notre Dame fan. They matter to recruits. And if it matters to recruits, it matters to me, because I want the best talent in the country on that campus. So, obviously, every single year since 2004, when I became a fan, I've, every August, like 20 something, I'm like, oh, Notre Dame looks good this year. We're going to win a national championship. And every year since August of 2004, I've not exactly seen that come to fruition, if for lack of a better term.
Steve, you sound like a Toronto Maple Leafs fan.
Oh, Jesus.
So,
that's a fate I wouldn't wish on anybody.
One more thing, P. One more thing.
Yeah.
Just one more thing. Thing. Piggybacking on Steve's point, if Georgia and Alabama blow out their competition and Notre Dame wins this game, Notre Dame will be ranked number 3 to end the year. That is a narrative builder for next year. That this team, who won their bowl game, assuming we win, was denied a playoff spot. They're rejuvenated. They're bringing back lots of talent, and Marcus Freeman is the dude. That could help with recruiting. That could help with perspective on the program, on how people view the program, and I think that does matter. But just as a fan, I want to win them, but I don't think they're the be-all, end-all.
Yeah, I disagree with that. Not just for the sake of disagreeing, but we do play for championships. But as of right now, only 4 teams get into the championship. Before that, only 2 teams got into the championship. If you're not playing to win a bowl game, stay at home. So championships do matter, yes. It's apples and oranges and then a watermelon thrown in the back. There are three separate things there. Championships matter, bowl games matter. You have to play to win. You saw some teams out there so far this year who gave just a piss poor effort, who didn't care at all. That being said, if Notre Dame shows up and doesn't care at all, the message boards are going to be aflame. So I think it's 3 parts to the same whole, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
No, it does. And you should always play to win, no doubt. And I think that goes to a lot what Steve said too, right? It's perception, it's changing the tide.
If I have to see one more fucking graphic going back to that fucking Oregon State loss against whatever loser quarterback that was that flamed out in the NFL. If I just have to see one more goddamn graphic and statistic and it's been 72 years, shut the fuck up. Shut up. The 2021 Notre Dame roster is not the 2000 Orange Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, fuck-ass bowl from God knows what. It's a completely different team. Every 4 years, that's just the way college works. You absolute inbreds that can't comprehend this.
you know who was on that Oregon State team? Chad Johnson and TJ Hushmanzada.
Fuck them both.
Bob Davie was the coach.
Fuck him too.
Well, yeah, you're right there. Also,
Who was the quarterback? Was it Rick Meyer?
No, it was Matt LaVecchio. So fuck you, Steve. He's my boy.
No. I'm not saying I'm not saying anything bad about that Notre Dame team or any Notre Dame team. I was saying fuck the Oregon State
Oh, yes.
quarterback. What was it, Orlovsky or something?
No,
I forget.
That was UConn.
Yeah, I don't know. It was some absolute peasant loser. Anyway, but he
Jonathan Smith.
6 touchdowns.
It was Jonathan Smith, who is currently.
You're telling me John Smith beat Notre Dame?
Jonathan Smith beat Notre Dame, and he's currently the head coach at Oregon State.
Wow. Steve's beefing with a quarterback from 22 years ago.
Yeah, I'll throw mitts. I'll call up Barstool. I'll throw mitts rough and rowdy with that guy. Anyway, the moral of the story is teams of the past are not indicative of the future. It's just like Notre Dame when they've played in big games. The LSU game in the mid 2000s. We obviously got waxed, but they were a very talented team. Obviously, there was the Alabama game in 2012. Historically unbelievable team. 2015 Fiesta Bowl against Ohio State. If you go back and look at that roster, that 2015 Ohio State team, they had over 40 NFL players. It's one of the greatest teams of all time. 2018 Clemson, one of the greatest teams ever assembled. 2020 Alabama, one of the greatest teams ever assembled. Yeah, we've lost big games against some of the greatest teams in college football history. You absolute fucking inbreds. I'm sick of this goddamn narrative. If we lose this game, and if I have to see one more time, one more year, get more texts, more DMs, more people Facebook messaging me, I will go on. I'm not going to finish that sentence because it was going to get dark. But let me tell you, I'm going to lose my mind. So please, head coach Marcus Freeman, I am on my hands and knees begging you. Win this game by 122 points. I don't care if we are up 122-0 with 1 second on the clock and we have the ball on the goal line. Punch it in. Dominate them because I can't stand it anymore. That's the end of my rant.
Going out 2021 with a bang, Steve. I like it.
I'm not gonna on that. I'm gonna let it rest.
P-Wagon looks so unimpressed right now. I know you guys can't see this because this is an audio podcast, but we're on video, and it's just the disappointment in his face is hilarious.
I'm worried. I don't know if I have to call a number or something right now. Like,
Steve, are you okay?
I'm gonna have to call a hotline if we lose this game.
It's been 4 years, and not one of us thought to ask Steve if he was okay.
just gotta let it happen a little bit.
In our introduction song to these podcasts, Steve says he's going to kill himself, and we haven't asked him if he's all right. What is wrong with this community?
I haven't received a single tweet, a single DM. Nobody cares.
Shit, you got yelled at once for.
Yeah, I mean, that tweet was objectively one of the funniest tweets that's ever been posted on the internet. Come on.
You're not wrong.
All right, are we done with this? Because I'm wading into canceled area, and
this is getting funnier the longer we go.
Jesus.
Yeah. I literally have nothing else to say. I'm flabbergasted.
Should I tell my cowboy fact that I was telling you guys pregame? No, that's whatever.
Yeah, because that hurts me a bit because I'm a Cowboys fan in another sense. So
true.
Taking shots at me a bit. By the way, the Dallas Cowboys are winning the Super Bowl. I don't care what anyone says. It's a done deal.
Well, I can guarantee it's not going to be the fucking Pittsburgh Steelers.
Chase Claypool did nothing wrong. I will stand on that hill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pete,
all right.
you're
looking
something up. I could see it in the reflection of your glasses. What are you looking?
I think he's still looking at his Jack Cohn NFT.
I gotta figure out how to sell it. I don't know what the fuck to do on it. Like, what is an NFT? Can someone smarter than me tell me that? Because I have no idea.
And you bought one.
Yeah.
I haven't the slightest idea, but every time I see someone tweet about one, I just want to screenshot it and just send it back to them and be like, I own it now.
Do you guys want to see it? This is terrible audio, but I'm gonna show terrible audio podcast. But we're gonna talk about this NFT real quick, and then we will sign off. There's 100 of them. I got number 4. This is all it is.
So it's just a picture of Jack Cohn.
It's a picture of Jack Cohn.
And it says on it, Jack Cohn.
That's literally what it is.
Feel the electricity, baby. Hope that thing sells for 10x.
9 people have looked at it. One person has favored it. Looks like 5 people have bought them. So I don't know what I'm doing. So if someone smarter than me knows how to do this stuff, let me know.
I'm pretty sure NFTs are almost exclusively used for money laundering.
Oh, I don't love that. Not a fan of that.
P's on a watch list now.
Yeah.
Someone's selling a Blake Corum one for $190,000.
I'm gonna fucking kill myself. How are these people making this much money? I'm grinding 60 hours a fucking week, working my ass off just to get these people enrolled in their fucking 401ks so that way I can help these inbreds retire. That's all I dedicate my life to, is just trying to help make other people wealthy. And I'm living paycheck to goddamn paycheck while these people are taking screenshots of fucking pictures and selling them for 6 figures. If you're looking for a good way to have me end it all, you keep giving me NFT stats, because it's one more step into the grave every time you give me a figure.
Steve's final note will say, P.S. Please delete my web browser history. But here's the joke. The web browser history will all be like 247 recruiting profiles.
It's like you hacked my phone. Oh, Jesus. All right. I got to call it quits. If I go any further tonight, I might legitimately be fit for a straitjacket.
Well.
P was thinking, well, you should be already, but he didn't want to say it.
You finished that. Thank you, alley-oop. So with that being said, I hope you all have a very nice rest of your week. Everyone stay safe out there. Mask up if you want to. Don't if you don't. If you have come in contact with anyone with COVID, get yourself tested. And that's all I got. Let's go Irish.
Yeah. This has been an episode.
Are we doing game predictions, or are we just
we should probably predict.
Yeah, we should. Hey, remember that gigantic game in like 5 days from now? Let's predict it.
All right, I gotta write something down.
Oh, Dylan, are we going to do our thing? Or are we going to work our magic right here? All right, I'll go first. Quick prediction. It's going to be not so quick.
Okay.
Fighting Irish are coming out hot. They're going to be up 14-3 in this game. There's going to be a little bit of back and forth as we head into halftime. And then we're going to come out. We're going to have a really strong third quarter. This is going to go very, very similar to the Florida State game for the first 3 quarters. Except there's going to be no fourth quarter claps. We are putting this son of a bitch away, and we are winning big. Final score, Notre Dame 45. Oklahoma State 17.
Oh, wow.
Interesting. I was going to say 34-21 Notre Dame.
I was going to say 37-13 Notre Dame.
I like that score. I revised mine to yours.
But like 37 is a hard number to get to.
I'll give it 38.
Yeah, let's go 38-13.
All right, I like that.
It'll be 31-13. And it'll be 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and Jay Bramblett will throw a touchdown pass to Harrison Leonard, and then I will no longer.
And that's when you achieve your final form of Nirvana.
That's Nirvana there.
Well, what an episode. And thank you everyone who stuck through us over the past rough estimate here, just looking at the clock. Looks to be about an hour and 5 minutes, hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
thank you, everyone. We hope you had a wonderful Christmas, Kwanzaa, Diwali,
Hanukkah.
anything else. And
Boxing
obviously,
Day, that was a
hopefully
thing.
everyone has a great New Year's Eve. Be safe on New Year's Eve. Don't do anything stupid. Please, everyone, stay happy, healthy, and jolly. Let's just go into this game and kick the living shit out of these damn Cowboys. And everyone, let's just have a party for 4 straight quarters. I want everyone to just party and have fun. So that's me signing off. Possibly for the last time. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try to top that. That was really well said, Steve. Go Irish. Beat the Cowboys.
Go Irish.
All right. I loved that.
That was a really good one.
That
That was a
was
lot of
something.
fun.